Call on Government Order of the Day number 2.
Tariff, New Zealand, Hong Kong, China Closer Economic Partnership Agreement Amendment Bill, second reading.
The Honourable John Carter.
Mr Speaker, I move that the Tariff, New Zealand, Hong Kong, China Closer Economic Partnership Agreement Amendment Bill be now read a second time. I thank the Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade Committee for its consideration of the bill and for reporting the bill back to the House. The committee's recommendation is that the bill be passed with no amendments. As the committee noted in its report, the Closer Economic Partnership, CEP, with Hong Kong will provide an important trading platform for building trade with the wider China market and indeed throughout the Asian region. New Zealand's economic future points increasingly towards this vibrant region, and the linkages through our high-quality trade agreements are increasing the opportunities for business. In the first year following entry into force of the China FTA, the increase in New Zealand exports to China was some New Zealand $1.1 billion. China is now our second largest export market and our second largest overall trading partner. Through the CEP with Hong Kong, we are hopeful that this growth will continue, and the CEP will also facilitate the growing provisions of New Zealand's goods and services throughout the wider region. Unlike other of New Zealand's concluded trade agreements, the Closer Economic Partnership, which we have negotiated with Hong Kong, is not about tariff barriers, or primarily about tariff barriers. The fact is that New Zealand and Hong Kong are already two of the most open economies in the world. Given the relatively low levels of tariff barriers between our economies, at zero in the case of Hong Kong, this agreement will secure New Zealand's position in the Hong Kong market and underpin Hong Kong as a trading platform for our exporters into the wider region. We want to make it easier for New Zealand companies to do business in and through Hong Kong. This CEP will encourage New Zealand companies to integrate into global supply chains because that is crucial to our future prosperity as a trading nation. Hong Kong's location, its knowledge of China and links into the mainland position it perfectly for New Zealand's rapidly expanding trade with China and the wider North Asian region. Increasingly, New Zealand's trade agreements acknowledge the importance of global supply chains. As with previous FTAs that New Zealand has entered into, the rules of origin negotiated in the CEP will allow Hong Kong and New Zealand companies to make greater use of others' products in manufacturing. The CEP will also help to secure access into Hong Kong for New Zealand's service suppliers into the future. As identified by the Select Committee report, the ratchet clause means that the future unilateral liberalisation by Hong Kong in certain sectors will be applied for the benefit of New Zealand services exporters. And a most favoured nation clause will future-proof the access into Hong Kong of our service exporters by enabling them to benefit from the same treatment that other countries negotiate with Hong Kong in the future in key sectors of interest to New Zealand. That is a significant commitment that this is the first free trade agreement that Hong Kong has signed outside mainland China. Consistent with our existing approach with FTAs, New Zealand has been careful to ensure that the removal of our remaining tariffs are phased out over time to allow for the affected industries to adapt to the new settings. For the CEP, this phasing has been deliberately matched to the phase-out delivered under the China FTA, meaning that there is unlikely to be any additional material impact on New Zealand companies. The Green Party, in its minority view included in the Select Committee report on the bill, has questioned the balance of consultation around the FTA, commenting that there is bias towards exporting interests. The opportunity to make submissions, request meetings and attend briefing sessions was open to all businesses, sectors and stakeholders. The National Interest Analysis also cites specific consultation about tariff reduction and rules of origin. These were conducted by MFAT and MED officials to assess industry views on tariff reduction with respect to potential FTAs, including that with Hong Kong. There was in addition a series of consultation with Textile New Zealand and a range of clothing manufacturers specifically in relation to Hong Kong. Consultations were also held with the Employers and Manufacturers Association, the key representative body for the manufacturing sector, which included the Hong Kong negotiations. In respect of investment, the Select Committee report acknowledges that the investment screening regime in New Zealand will continue to apply to the prospective investors from Hong Kong. Quite simply, the outcome of the CEP will not materially alter the way in which the overseas investment screening regime applies to investors from Hong Kong or exempt them from any aspect of it. The minority view in the report of the Select Committee, expressed by the Green Party, questions the basis upon which the government rests its commitment to trade liberalisation. That commitment rests with a conviction that export growth is critical to New Zealand's overall economic performance. The government's full agenda of trade negotiations in the Asian-Pacific region is central to this strategy and places us at the heart of the world's economic growth engine. This bill will amend the tariff of New Zealand by inserting Hong Kong, China and a list of preferential countries in Note 3 of the tariff. This is the only statutory amendment required to give effect to the CEP. Following this amendment, certain amendments by regulation will also be required to enable the application of preferential tariff rates under the CEP. The government would like to see the bill enacted by October so that New Zealand can be ready to bring the CEP into force, therefore ensuring New Zealand business can benefit from this agreement as soon as Hong Kong has also completed all of its internal procedures. I commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.